Live from the Score Atlanta television studios in North Atlanta, this is Georgia High School Sports Daily, powered by IBEW Local 613.
Happy Friday Eve and welcome back to another episode of Georgia High School Sports Daily. I'm your host, Nigel Wilkins, along with Craig Sayre. We got a jam-packed show for you guys. We're going to be getting to, obviously, a baseball preview in our segment 4. We'll conclude the show with Max Warborski talking about the latest articles he's working on. And we got a special segment in segment 2 and 3, Gwinnett County football tier since 2019. We're going to break it down here on the big board behind me. Should be a lot of fun. Me, Craig, and obviously Hayden Gilbert should be a lot of fun. And obviously segment 1 with the fast break headlines. But Craig, as we obviously move into the fast break headlines, what's the biggest things going on in baseball currently that you see? Obviously, we know things are starting to kind of shape up. It is spring break. Teams are playing. I know we talked about, obviously, Grayson and Buford. Obviously, that sweep for Buford and that. But what's the latest from last night?
To me, I'm looking at which teams are playing with the most focus right now. And a perfect example, we'll probably get into it in a sec, but just Ware County. They're red hot right now. They played a very tough Benedictine team, and it was a game where they need to win to stay on top of the region. I think it was 9-1. They'll play again. Stars Mill, they're on absolute fire right now. You got the big win over East Coweta. You had the Lowndes matchup against Valdosta. They won that one 4-3. We knew it was going to be close with the rivalry. But this period of time, it's easy when it's your regular season finale. It's easy when it's the last week. That week before the last week, that's when you got to really show the focus. And so we're seeing some teams that are impressing me, and I would put Stars Mill at the top of that list.
Yeah, they have been very impressive. And I think they recently played, or they have coming up, they play East Coweta, correct?
Yeah, they smoked them yesterday, I believe. I think it was 12-1, something like that. I mean, that was a big win. East Coweta just swept Carrollton, but then you also got to look at it. Has East Coweta just had a really busy stretch? They'll be fine. But what's so interesting about baseball, when you can look at the overall record, but it's like, look at what teams don't lose back-to-back games. That was the key last year when I was looking at the schedule, trying to predict who's going to do well in the playoffs. And, I mean, you have a lot of teams like that this year. Obviously, Etowah hasn't. They bounced back from Houston County. Houston County hasn't. You got Pope, Alatoona. I mean, there might be 50 to 60 teams in the rankings alone that haven't lost back-to-back games.
That's kind of insane. So when you're juxtaposing that and you're looking at teams that haven't lost back-to-back, how do you say, okay, this team could be a potential contender, this team can make a deep run? Like, how do you kind of discern that information?
Yeah, I mean, well, sometimes it can be worrisome, but what's interesting also is, like, some teams will play the doubleheaders in the region, and that's it. Others will schedule a Tuesday, Thursday. Others will do a Tuesday game and then a doubleheader Thursday. So you have 3 different scenarios. You have ones that play one game at a time, where Cartersville's coach was talking about, you could just put your ace out every time you play a region game. You could work the schedule around, and that might help you dominate the region, but how's that going to help you with your number 2s and 3s once you get to the playoffs and you need to win a 3-game series? You have the other teams that have been playing 3-game series the entire time, and then you have the others that have just been playing the doubleheader or the home and aways. So I think it's really important to look at, one, what is their format in that? And then during their busy weeks, is it a scenario where, let's say they play 3 ranked teams in like a 4-game stretch in 1 week? Are they winning 5-3, 5-3, then losing 12-2? Or is it competitive every single time? And I think that's what we've seen with a lot of them. There's one anomaly, I think, was the Parkview-Loganville game, but then that could be a situation where Loganville was just red hot. But other games, you can look at who's starting at pitching and then where the depth is. But also, we've seen so much great pitching where the pitch count hasn't even been that high. We've seen complete games with 94 pitches.
That's a good point. I mean, obviously, and that's good for them and obviously the teams going forward, because then you can save their arms, because you're going to need, obviously, the relief pitching, your starters to give you good innings as well. And then they are putting these type of performances with less pitches. I think that's good in terms of just efficiency.
Yeah, and then the other thing, we're seeing record-breaking base running this year. We're seeing with Houston County breaking the stolen base record. I mean, when you look at a team that's played like 20 games this season, and they've got a guy that has 50 stolen bases. That's pretty incredible. And I think that's a very important trend. When you look at these elite teams, they have the elite base runners. The analytics are there now. It's very important in being a baseball prospect. How fast is your time around the bases? How fast is your time from the batter's box to first base? And then just the heads-up play calling. Obviously, coaching goes into that too with the signs and understanding the opponent, understanding the pitcher's wind up, the cadence, and how to take advantage of those opportunities.
100%. Well, guys, we're going to get started with our fast break headlines. At number 1, North Gwinnett diver Miles Gravitt. He was named Gwinnett Daily Post Diver of the Year, and it's very interesting. He plays 2 sports. He's also a diver and a gymnast. When he's asked, hey, which one are you? He says, right now, I'm a gymnast who dives. I'm hoping to change that, said Gravitt. I just hope to start diving more, getting to more practices, getting more reps. I enjoy them both the same. It's not an easy transition as people might think to go from diving to gymnastics, but he was willing to try to work hard at making the transition, said North Gwinnett swim coach Paul Callis. He said he's still a really good gymnast, but in the last couple of years, he's morphed into one of the top divers in the state. With a year to go, I can't wait to see how his improvement keeps moving forward because I'm sure it will. This season, Gravitt's highlights includes winning Gwinnett County championships and finishing 3rd at Class 6A state championships at Georgia Tech's McAuley Aquatic Center. For his performances this winter, Gravitt is the Gwinnett Daily Post Diver of the Year. Congrats to him. Obviously, a great sign for him. And obviously, I believe we had North Gwinnett on our show, if I'm not mistaken, for the swimming and diving.
The premier diving program. But that is interesting when you think about what Miles has to do because your routine has to be so clean for gymnastics, and that's at a certain height or a certain skill, and then diving is completely different. So if he's doing the rotation diving, then going to gymnastics, that is pretty impressive just to be able to do both at that level. It's probably an easier transition than going from offensive line to diving, but at the same time, those are 2 very different things that he has to practice, and just the fine-tuned details, very impressive.
Very impressive. All right, guys, headline 2, Thomas County 4-star Jaden Dunbar. He announced his final 10 schools officially. His final 10 schools include Minnesota, Pittsburgh, West Virginia, Michigan State, USF, Georgia, Kentucky, Duke, Mississippi State, and Georgia Tech. Before narrowing down his list, Dunbar had nearly 30 offers per 247 Sports. According to the On3 industry ranking, he's rated as a 3-star prospect, the number 48 player in Georgia, number 67 wide receiver, and number 433 player nationally. Ironically enough, I actually did a story on Dunbar and the Thomas County Central players, him, Jalen Johnson, the running back, and several other players, highlighting them and what to watch out for this year. But this past season, finished with over 20-plus catches, 400 yards, and 8 touchdowns. Absolutely cooked Warner Robins this past year as well. Very, very good prospect. Can't wait to see where he lands and ends up going.
Yeah, and Thomas County Central, their defense has been so dominant the last 2 years where they're winning games 40-0, but the total yardage is about like 280 offensively. They control the field so well, and they just have very efficient scoring. I think the last few years, a team that came very close to winning that state title. Sorry, they did win the state title.
Yes, they did.
They did,
yes. They did.
Not last year, though, but the year before.
Yes.
Great team to watch, and really a complimentary football team, both sides of the ball.
100%. All right, Craig, you got headline 3.
All right, Harris County sophomore Addison Fowler named Athlete of the Week. Addison Fowler is the Columbus Ledger-Enquirer High School Girls Athlete of the Week. This was heading into April based on the online poll. She's just a sophomore, but a sprinter at Harris County on the track and field team. At the meet back on March 19th, Addison won the 100-meter and the 200-meter, sweeping it, and also anchored the first-place winning 4x100-meter relay, helping the Tigers finish first as a team in the team standings. She received 70% of the vote, 7,852 total votes. Congratulations to her, just a sophomore. And the thing about this Columbus poll, it's not just Columbus, Georgia, or on our side of the border. They also look at, I think, Russell, Phoenix City, some of the other Alabama powerhouses that border. So, I mean, for a sophomore to win this, not only in the Columbus area, but also into the Alabama area, big accomplishment for her.
100%. Congratulations to Addison Fowler. Great feat by her.
All right, headline 4, Ware County stays perfect in Region 1. This is Class 4A baseball with their 9-1 win over Benedictine. The Gators improved to 10-0 in Region 1 on Tuesday with a 9-1 road win over Benedictine. The win comes after a 12-4 extra innings loss to Peach County. Things kind of fell apart in that 9th inning. Ware County is going to host Benedictine again on Friday before it closes out the regular season with a 3-game series against Wayne County. That'll be a top 10 matchup, definitely one to watch and will determine the region title, but they stay perfect. And going on the road, getting that win at Benedictine is huge. Now they get to come home and play that game on Friday.
100%. All right, final headline, Wesleyan girls, they rolled past South Forsyth on senior night. En route to an 8-1 victory over South Forsyth in girls soccer. Lily Roberts had 2 goals and 4 assists. Mary McBrown, she scored 3 goals to lead the attack for the Wolves, who are now 13-1 on the season. Malloy Madre, she had 2 goals and an assist. And Emma Glacier, she had a goal and 1 assist as well. Wesleyan girls continue to move. They're going to be interesting to watch in Class A through 3A private. Probably have to get an update next week on our soccer rankings, just to see the latest of what's going on in girls soccer, because Class A through 3A private is very loaded.
Yep, and you see a team like Wesleyan, they're going to be in that private division, but they play all the Gwinnett powerhouses, and obviously that win over South Forsyth, they challenged themselves with the upper classifications.
100%. All right, guys, so we did a post on Twitter. So you guys make sure to go check it out. Comment below. You know, we're going to have this, we'll probably post it on social media later, but comment below where your Gwinnett County High School ranks in our tier system. What do you guys think they should be at? All right, we're going to have a great couple segments coming up, so don't go anywhere. Come right back here on the Peachtree Sports Network and comment below where your team ranks.
Great teams are committed, focused on the details, and work hard to be their best. From practice to games, right down to their gear. Your field is a critical part of the game that allows your athletes to showcase their athletic abilities. Sports Turf is committed to bringing your team innovative sports surfaces with unparalleled performance. You bring the vision. Our team brings it to life.
This makes my dad proud. He went through his whole career as an employee. Now I'm the employer, something he didn't achieve.
We are signatory to IBEW and do IBEW people wherever we go that we feel like they are faster and better than any of our competition.
The advantages of being a signatory contractor is you're trained employees. You have unlimited manpower. It allows me to bid on jobs that I ordinarily would not go after.
We celebrate the athletes, the buzzer beaters, the record breakers, the wins. Now, it's time to celebrate the people behind it all. The advice givers, the community shapers, the game changers, the life changers. It's time to celebrate our coaches. Join all of us at BSN Sports and show your coach some love by sharing their story with #ThankYouCoach.
Man, you know how to do this?
Man, I don't even know. I was flipping burgers last week.
Violation, unsportsmanlike conduct, impersonating a craftsman.
Skilled trade unions are well-trained career pros, not part-timers. Construction is a rewarding and lucrative career with the advancement potential, but you have to do it the right way with the right training. Learn how you can be a pro. Find your career at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
Great teams are committed, focused on the details, and work hard to be their best. From practice to games, right down to their gear. Your field is a critical part of the game that allows your athletes to showcase their athletic abilities. Sports Turf is committed to bringing your team innovative sports surfaces with unparalleled performance. You bring the vision. Our team brings it to life.
This makes my dad proud. He went through his whole career as an employee. Now I'm the employer, something he didn't achieve.
We are signatory to IBEW and do IBEW people wherever we go that we feel like they are faster and better than any of our competition.
The advantages of being a signatory contractor is you're trained employees. You have unlimited manpower. It allows me to bid on jobs that I ordinarily would not go after.
We celebrate the athletes, The buzzer beaters, the record breakers, the wins. Now, it's time to celebrate the people behind it all. The advice givers, the community shapers, the game changers, the life changers. It's time to celebrate our coaches. Join all of us at BSN Sports and show your coach some love by sharing their story with #ThankYouCoach.
Man, you know how to do this?
Man, I don't even know. I was flipping burgers last week.
Violation, unsportsmanlike conduct, impersonating a craftsman.
Skilled trade unions are well-trained career pros, not part-timers. Construction is a rewarding and lucrative career with the advancement potential, but you have to do it the right way with the right training. Learn how you can be a pro. Find your career at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
Georgia High School Sports Daily is brought to you by the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 613. Electrify your career.
All right, welcome back to Georgia High School Sports Daily. We're super excited to be here. Obviously, a great segment in store for you guys. Gwinnett County football tiers since 2019. Obviously, we're going to get started with Tier 1. These are title contenders, teams that are always in contention for titles every year. They obviously make the playoffs. So here's the official unveil. I'm going to get, obviously, Hayden and Craig's reaction. But we got Buford, North Gwinnett, Collins Hill, Mill Creek, Hebron Christian, and Grayson. Comment at home, did we get Tier 1 right? Okay, comment at home. But let me get you guys' reaction. I'm going to start with you, Craig.
Yeah, so what's interesting about this, when you look at Gwinnett, first of all, this is every single Gwinnett team. So there's going to be tiers. I think it's similar if you were to rank the SEC teams. Obviously, the SEC, it's the best in college football, but there is sort of a tier when you just look at the difference between an Alabama, Vanderbilt, with the success, teams like Texas also. But it's interesting how many different teams have won state titles in the highest classification in Gwinnett just in this last 6-year period. Yeah, Collins Hill win, North Gwinnett won recently, Mill Creek, the big championship, Grayson obviously last year, and then Buford. They've had the best overall record, haven't gotten the 7A or 6A state title yet, but they're the only team that in the last 6 years, single-digit losses. So they have the most wins. Obviously, we've seen them go up against these teams. Then you have Hebron Christian, just the dominance last year, winning their first state title. I think they've earned that as well. But just how many different Gwinnett teams have been able to win state titles, this is against the entire state, just shows how dominant Gwinnett is.
Go ahead.
I mean, I think when you look at these 6 schools, all of them have been at least in the top 5 of whatever classification they have, I believe, last year. Mm-hmm. Mill Creek didn't have the season they wanted last year. They may not have been top 5, but they were top 10 a good bit of the season. They're a really good football program. They're 2 years removed from a state title. Buford is the class of whatever class they're in. They haven't won a title in a few years, but that doesn't change anything. North Gwinnett's back to their winning ways that they were under Bill Stewart. And you just look at all of these schools, even Hebron Christian, who's now under a new head coach, got a head coach with a state championship under his belt.
Exactly. Great point. I mean, yeah, like you said, Buford 75-8 over this stretch. I mean, they've been very, very good over the last few years. 3 state championships. Remember, they won 3 consecutive before jumping up. Obviously, classification has been a little bit tougher, but stiffer competition. Collins Hill, how about them? They made the state championship in 2020 with Lyndon Gregory, won it all back with Travis Hunter and obviously Sam Horn in 2021. North Gwinnett is a fixture. This past year made it to the quarterfinals. They have so many 10-win seasons. I mean, it's crazy to think about. And then to your point, Mill Creek obviously win it with a team that a lot of people didn't think they would win that year, but went up against Carrollton that I think it was 2022. Big-time victory for them and won a region championship that following year. Hebron Christian is kind of a newer team when you think about just in terms of their dominance of this era, this half-decade, you could say, but a team that has been very good over the last few years. And then how about Grayson? Grayson has won 2 state championships with 2 different head coaches, right? One of the youngest ones to win it in Coach Centavius Bryant, 14-0 record back when they won it in 2020 with Adam Carter. They are such a great program, and they have 3 10-win-plus seasons over this stretch. I mean, a phenomenal program in Grayson.
Yeah, and these teams also, they dominate outside of Gwinnett County. So when they go up against the Cobb County teams, the other Class 6A, we see them win consistently. And then I really want to focus on Collins Hill. How have they been able to earn it? Well, one, they did have that state title run just a few years ago, but they beat Grayson last year, and they also have just advanced past the first round. They've been able to, even if they don't have the number 1 seed, make a little bit of a run. I think Coach Schwick has done a tremendous job just seeing when they won the state title, the next year they replaced literally everyone, and then 1 year later they're right back in it. So I think that's been impressive. And then North Gwinnett, I think just what Coach Stewart did and then what Coach Godfrey's been doing now, they are just so solid. As Najee says, they have a dude at every single level, offensively, defensively. They're just a really solid team. They'll look a little bit differently this year without Ryan Hall at quarterback, but that defensive line is as good as it gets, and I think that's what all these teams kind of have in common. Domination on the defensive line, even Hebron last year, super talented up front.
100%. To your point, right? A couple years ago, Collins Hill beat North Cobb, a team that was supposed to win that game in the playoffs, and then this past year, 11-2. Really good year for Collins Hill. All right, let's go to Tier 2. On the cusp. So this does not go and take into consideration the history, because a lot of teams you're going to see on here, their history is phenomenal, right? We look at Norcross, you look at Parkview, Brookwood's another team that's in this tier as well. Teams that have won have a history of winning, but on the cusp means it's the last half decade. They haven't won a state championship, but they're always a perennial contender in the playoffs. When we look at these teams, they always make it. Peachtree Ridge, 10-2 in 2023. This past year, 6-6. Parkview, another team that is a perennial playoff contender, right? GAC, Wesleyan, they've made the semifinals multiple times under their head coach. I mean, all these teams are phenomenal. But I'm gonna start with you on this one, Hayden. What's your thoughts on the Tier 2?
Well, when you look at these teams, it's most of them are more historic teams that. Right now, they're maybe not at the level they were at their peak. Mm-hmm. I think Archer's a great example of that. Under Coach Andy Dyer, they were one of the top teams in the state. They made a state finals. Same thing with Peachtree Ridge. I think Peachtree Ridge is on the climb. They're much better than they were in before Coach Helmer got there. But they're still building up. They're still having to build that program from basically scratch.
Yep.
And if you look at all of them, it's like these Norcross, Parkview, and South Gwinnett all had legendary head coaches. All were competing for championships in the 90s and early 2000s. I know, and then Norcross. You look at all these programs in this tier, and at the very least, if they're not competing for championships now, it's not been that long since they were at the very top of the sport.
That's a good point. Your thoughts, Craig?
I think the most interesting team to me is Peachtree Ridge. That's kind of the team that inspired us to look at the tiers. Where would they fall within Gwinnett? I definitely feel they're up here in this tier 2, very talented. They have won a state title before back in, I think, 2005, where they got the share of one. I think Peachtree Ridge with Coach Helmrich, very intriguing team. They've overcome a lot of injuries in the past couple seasons, but then found their footing late in the year. They're extremely talented at the skill positions. They can match up with any team in that department. And then I think Parkview is also interesting. They didn't have the best last few years. Offensively, they struggled. But they have Coach Clack coming in, and just the tradition and then the consistency. I think this will be a big, exciting year for them. And then Norcross. I think Norcross might have the best argument to be a Tier 1 team, but they just have not been able to get that quarterfinal, semifinal push the last few years.
Quick thought before we wrap up this and go to our other tiers in our next segment. Just thoughts on Brookwood and where they have. We know how talented they are. Coach Chad Nimbert is obviously their head coach. Coach Phillip Jones, they won a region championship. Made a deep run that year with obviously Dylan Lonergan. What's your thoughts on them, real quick?
Yeah, well, Brookwood to me is a team that usually figures it out once they get into region play. 2 years ago, I thought they struggled a little bit. That might have been one of the lower seasons they've had in like the last decade. But then last year we saw them return to prominence, get some big wins, and we've talked about Braden Tyson, how talented he is. But I think they're right back in it, and it's just going to be good to see two new head coaches actually with this Brookwood Parkview matchup to close things out. I feel like when that rivalry is back in Gwinnett County, it doesn't get better than that.
100%. Well, guys, we're going to have more after the break, so don't go anywhere. We're going to reveal Tier 3 and Tier 4. Make sure you go home and you comment on our Twitter post and also on IG. Let us know what you think of these tiers. We'll be right back after the break.
Georgia High School Sports Daily is presented by GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com. Transform your future today. And by Smart Local 85. Sheet metal is a smart move.
All right, welcome back to Georgia High School Sports Daily. We're in the second segment of our Gwinnett County football tiers list since 2019. Again, make sure you go vote at home. All right, so now it's time for Tier 3. I think this will spark a little bit of controversy. Teams that we have in this tier. I'm going to start it off. Obviously, Central Gwinnett, Duluth, Shiloh, Lanier, Mountain View, Berkmar, and Meadow Creek. I do want to say, and I want to get you guys' reaction, I have Lanier as a Tier 2 team. I went back, did some research. Reason I do, 36-29, guys. They have made the playoffs 5 of the past 6 seasons. And I think it's a team that has so much talent. Look at Derek Brown, he's in the NFL. Tawan Payton Jr., who's at Georgia State now. I think that's a team we should watch more closely to see where they can go. And I think they are kind of on the cusp of making maybe even deeper playoff runs. But what are you guys' reaction to that?
Yeah, I would tend to agree with Lanier that a 9-3 season in 2023, they're averaging about 6 wins a season. They have, I think, made one really deep playoff run. They've had some great talent come through, but I just want to see them make that quarterfinal appearance. And then the thing about these tiers, until you beat the teams in the tier above you, you're going to be in that bottom tier.
Your thoughts real quick, Hayden.
I feel like one of Lanier's problems is Lanier, back when they first were created, they were the top team in a region that wasn't particularly great, and now they've gotten into since around 2018, 2019, they were in, when Decula was one of the top teams in the state, they were stuck in the region with them. Now they're stuck in a region with Gainesville, Milton, Roswell. It's
tough.
It's really hard to gauge them because it's really hard to make deep playoff runs in 5 or 6A when you're playing a 1 seed or a 2 seed every year.
That's a good point. And then obviously I want to get your thoughts. You're very high, I believe, hating on just the Duluth program and what they've been able to do. Just what's your thoughts on them? I mean, Tier 3, a team that's been in the playoffs. I like Coach Cam Jones. He does a really good job there with the Wildcats. But what's your thoughts on them?
Duluth is one of those teams that's so talented. Every year they put out at least 1 or 2 guys that are going to play at Power 4 SEC level schools. And they're, once again, when you're playing in these Gwinnett County in 6A, it's really hard to make playoff appearances. You go to some of these lower classifications, a playoff appearance is a given for some of these even mid-tier teams. So with a lot of these schools, it's hard to judge them, but I think they're right on the cusp of being that team that can consistently make the playoffs, and moving forward, maybe they can.
Yeah, I agree with you. Another team I want to talk about is obviously Shiloh, 25-39 over this stretch. They made the playoffs a couple of times, 3 times over this span. Really good talent in 2019 and 2020. Had Jasheen Davis, who obviously looks like he's going to probably get drafted to the NFL this year from Wake Forest. So I think another team that produces high-end talent. Got Tim Anthony now currently. But can they, same as these other teams, play in a tough region? Can they finally, make a run to a quarterfinals or past the second round?
Yeah, that was another team that I believe for a while they were in 5 or 6A, and they were stuck in a region where there was no great teams, but it was 6 or 7 really good teams that were going to all compete to make the playoffs. And with teams like Lanier and teams like, at the time, I believe Decula, and it's so hard when you're competing for that 3rd or 4th seed, and you don't have that. You may not have really a chance at that 1 seed because you're not there yet. It's hard to consistently make the playoffs and consistently be really good when you're 1 win away always from missing the playoffs.
True. Last comment on this Tier 3, Craig.
Yeah, and honestly, Duluth's a team that reminds me similar to South Gwinnett. It's going to be very hard for them to get a number 1 seed or get that home field in the playoffs. South Gwinnett's got to go against North Gwinnett, Norcross, Peachtree Ridge, Duluth, same sort of deal. So that's why they haven't necessarily been able to make that deep playoff run, but they're a team that they're reliable to get you 5, 6 wins. I think they're a team that shows up every single week, plays well, but it's just the top tier teams that they have to go up against. That's why the record hasn't been above the 500. It's kind of sitting right there, but most of those losses have come to these other Gwinnett schools. So I think Duluth matches up very well. I mean, they very easily could be a region champ or a top seed if they were in another region in that classification. Central Gwinnett, I think they're super talented. They've probably had the most coaching turnover out of any of these teams, but very reliable. Once again, just a team that's going to be tough to play. I do agree with you guys on Lanier, team that certainly was much more competitive than the record shows some of the last few seasons.
For sure. And then my last thought on this tier 3, I mean, obviously Meadow Creek, you know, same thing to your point, obviously, about Central Gwinnett. Just so much coaching turnover. Can they finally just get a coach in there that can obviously get into the next level? They've been competitive. They made it postseason a couple times. Can they finally do that? And then Berkmar, I think it's 13-44-1 over this stretch. Haven't made the playoffs since 2005. Very long time.
Yeah, for Berkmar, I think that's just a numbers game. I mean, you look at some of these other teams they're playing up against, they've got probably 100 guys on their sideline where you look at Berkmar, a smaller roster, guys are going two ways, not as many top prospects, but overall, Berkmar has been steadily improving. They've been more competitive, and they've been able to schedule games early, win these out-of-region games, and get in the win column. That's huge. Winning football games in Georgia, that's what you need to build a program. They've been able to do that. For sure. All right, let's go to Tier 4, up-and-comers. Another interesting list, and I'll start it off again. Another team I think that needs to go up, in my opinion, is Decula. Another team, when I looked at their resume, very impressive. In my humble opinion, 37-34, another perennial team that makes the playoffs. I think they should be in that Tier 3. Obviously, you have Second-Year, Discovery, and then we also have Providence Christian as well. But just want you guys' quick thoughts on Decula. Decula, they've had 3 straight losing seasons, and then it seems to me like there'll be a team where they're really good offensively and then the defense isn't good that year. Or they'll have a great defense, the offense isn't there. So I don't think it's necessarily the entire team has had a problem. They just need to get both sides of the ball shored up. The last few years have been disappointing for them. Probably one of the worst stretches they've had in a few decades. But certainly Decula has had success in the past. I think they're in a favorable situation in the region. Being able to get some top prospects, but certainly an up-and-comer that probably describes where they're at right now. Gotcha. Yeah, 13-1 in 2019 and won a region championship. What's your thoughts?
I think when you look at Decula, I think it's to some extent unacceptable that they're down here. You look at the other 2 schools, both of them have perfectly fine excuses to be down here. You look at Discovery, second newest school in Gwinnett County. It's having those growing pains. You look at Second-Year, the newest school in Gwinnett County, 3 years old, but they've shown promise, and the last 2 years they've won games under Coach Lottie. They've been really good. Decula is only made a state semifinals appearance, I believe, in 2020. Mm-hmm. And they in the previous, I believe, 4 or 5 years before that, they were one of the top teams in Gwinnett County. They were a team that was competing for state titles. They were winning region titles under Coach Tommy Jones. Mm-hmm. So I think it's that they may not have had the right coaching staff in place.
There it is. And then what's just your thoughts? I mean, Craig, you're very high on the Second-Year program. We talked to them at Media Day, 6-4 last season, really productive year. Still figuring things out, but to be in the 3rd year and you have that record is very impressive. Yeah, and when you look at some of the brand new programs, Cherokee Bluff, Denmark, they had success early, but they weren't in Gwinnett County. It is so tough to just go out there year one as a team competing up against these established Gwinnett programs. They started that first year 0-10, but we're starting to see them win. They're getting to that 3-7 territory and really becoming competitive. They've got a great coaching staff. And then if you look across the board with Second-Year's athletics, every sport, they are making the playoffs. They're ultra competitive. They're even in the top 10, I'd say the majority of them. So Second-Year for sure, it's not going to take long. There's a lot of excitement around there. And just to think that they haven't even had like 3 off seasons yet as a program. So they're really starting to get things going. I think they'll be a team that will rise up. Obviously, it's a long way to go to be in that top tier, but I think they can continue to improve and taking that next step. 100%. Well, guys, that's going to conclude, obviously, this segment. Let me know at home if you guys enjoy Gwinnett County football teams. We should do more of these interactive segments on the show, all right? Tweet at us at Score Atlanta on X, Instagram, and all the social media platforms. We'll have more after the break, and we will do a baseball preview, so don't go anywhere. Come right back on the Peachtree Sports Network.
We celebrate the athletes, the buzzer beaters, the record breakers, the wins. Now, it's time to celebrate the people behind it all. The advice givers, the community shapers, the game changers, the life changers. It's time to celebrate our coaches. Join all of us at BSN Sports and show your coach some love by sharing their story with #ThankYouCoach.
Dang, where you get this car? You need to join the union.
The union?
Absolutely. Yes, you can get 10 of these.
Union construction workers earn the highest wages with the best benefits and the most protection in the construction industry. Find your career in construction. Go to GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com and start your future today.
A journeyman with Local 85, when you turn out, you can be hitting six figures.
Hey, I have your back, you have my back. We're going to do this together. We're one for all for one.
College just wasn't for me. Let's look into actual career jobs that wouldn't take college, where I wouldn't, lose money and all that. Instead of losing a lot more money at the end, why not make money and make more money at the end?
What happens after you graduate? Will you go to the next level? Will people have your back in the heat of the battle? Will you still train like a champion in pursuit of greatness? You will when you become an IBEW electrician. Join our team. Visit IBEW613.org.
All right, welcome back to the Georgia High School Sports Daily. Right now, we're going to look ahead to the baseball state playoffs. We've got about a little over a week and a half left. We'll have games going through this weekend, and then most of the regular season will end next Friday and Saturday, and then the playoffs will be here. So real quick, before we start to break this down, this will be for 6A, 5A, 4A, and then A Division II. You're going to have Region 2 going up against Region 8 in the first round. You got Region 5 against Region 1. Region 7 is going to go up against Region 6, and then Region 3 against Region 4. So what does that mean? Region 1 is typically the South Georgia teams. Obviously, Lowndes, two-time defending state champ, up in Region 1 in Class 6A. They will be going up against Region 5. So right now in Region 5, that is another very talented region. That's Etowah, Cherokee, Walton, and North Paulding. I think that if Region 5 was playing a different region, they're so talented in that 1 through 4, they might be able to sweep their way. But the travel going down to South Georgia and then a team like Lowndes, it's going to be tough for them to sweep. But this playoff race is still very much alive in Region 5. It looks like Etowah is going to run away with it, but you got Cherokee, Walton, and North Paulding all within about a game and a half of each other heading into this final week.
How important is that 2 seed, Craig, for that Region 5? I'm looking at obviously Etowah there. You talked about Cherokee 9-3, Walton, North Paulding. How important is that to host that obviously that first round playoff game and be able to potentially even host it beyond that? Yeah,
it's huge. So if you're the number 3 seed, you're probably going to be going to Colquitt County in the first round. If you're the number 4, you're going to be going to the Lowndes in the first round. Number 2 seed and number 1 seed, that's hosting Richmond Hill at Tift County. I think it's still going to be tough, but that Region 1 versus Region 5 is going to be very intriguing. You also got Region 2 going up against Region 8. That's going to be in Region 2, that's East Coweta. They secured the number 1 seed. You got Carrollton, Westlake, and then Chapel Hill have all clinched in the playoffs already. And then Region 8, another very talented one, Buford at the top, Mill Creek, Decula, and Collins Hill. So that would be Region 8 versus Region 2, and then Region 7 versus Region 6. Region 6 is all the Forsyth schools. You got South Forsyth, West Forsyth, Denmark, and Forsyth Central. All of those teams are within 1 game heading into the final week. Not only that, West Forsyth, Denmark, and Forsyth Central are all tied at 9-6. South Forsyth just a 1-game lead, so that one is wide open. We have no idea who's going to come out on top. And then with Region 7, that's North Gwinnett, Parkview, Brookwood, Peachtree Ridge have already clinched. So that 7-6 will be interesting. We already talked about the 5 versus 1, and then Region 3 versus Region 4. Region 3, you got Hillgrove, Harrison, McEachern, and Campbell making the playoffs, and then Region 4, Grayson, Archer, Newton, and Grovetown.
Question for you, Craig. We don't talk about a lot of the Forsyth County schools when it comes to baseball. We have it on the show. Just what's your thoughts on them? Obviously, they're going up against Region 7, which is a bunch of powerhouses. You look at North Gwinnett, Parkview in that conversation as well, Brookwood, Peachtree Ridge. Just What are the chances against maybe that region, you think?
Yeah, so I think a way to say, how good is Region 6? Well, currently, Lambert, a team that's been nationally ranked before, one of the best baseball programs, they're sitting at number 7 in the region right now. That's how deep it is. It's just very even. So no one has stood out in that region, so it's hard to tell how they're going to perform against some of the other ones. Once again, Region 6 will be going up against Region 7, so that's going to be North Gwinnett, Parkview, Brookwood, Peachtree Ridge. I feel like that's a situation you might see 3 of the 4 advance in the first round. You might see them get swept. You don't really know. But certainly North Gwinnett and Parkview look like they're going to be able to get home field. And then you'll have a Brookwood team potentially as a number 3 seed going on the road where they've made huge runs in playoffs and they haven't lost back-to-back either.
All right, let's talk a little bit about Region 3. Obviously, that has a lot of the Cobb County schools. At the top is Hillgrove. Got McEachern in there as well. How good do you think this Hillgrove team can be this postseason?
Very good. So Hillgrove has been the best team in that region, but then what's interesting is McEachern. This is a team that last year, what was it? I think they were like 10 and 20, something like that. This year it's completely different. They've had a, I think, 12-game win streak, very successful. They're that number 3 seed, but Hillgrove has been able to come out on top. Hillgrove actually beat Walton right after the Etowah series. So Walton loses 3 games to Etowah. They want to come back, get back in the win column. Hillgrove didn't let that happen. They got the win over Walton. So Hillgrove, that will definitely boost their confidence. They've only lost 1 game within the region so far.
There you have it, obviously. And then who is maybe we always talk about contenders, but who is a sleeper you think, obviously, in this 6A classification that can potentially make noise, Craig?
It's a great question. So I think Buford is very interesting. For me this year, it's a team where we might not think of them as a baseball powerhouse, but they've been right there. This North Gwinnett team, I think, is really special this year. They had a great team last year, but now they're all seniors. I still think that Walton-Etowah series, that concerned me a little bit, but maybe Etowah is just that good and Walton can make a run, potentially set up a rematch with Etowah. But I think in terms of a sleeper, Grayson was that team last year for sure, making it all the way to the state finals. And actually, I got to say this, Cherokee, that would be my sleeper.
Okay, watch Cherokee sleeper. What'd you like about them, Craig?
Well, Cherokee, I mean, they might end up stealing that number 2 seed. So Walton was able to win that series, but Cherokee's going to be battle tested. I mean, they've already played Etowah, and then they've played North Paulding, which North Paulding in multiple polls, they're like number 3, number 4. They've been that successful. If not for that early 3-game series against Walton where they got swept, all very close games, I think it'd be a much different conversation. But then Cherokee's been right in there, 9-3 so far in Region 5. We'll see how they do up against Etowah.
And then, Craig, real quick, obviously you've been covering baseball for a while, so I want to ask, what are some important, things that teams need in order to make these runs? Like, is it their bullpen? Is it having a lot of relief pitchers? Is it the batting? Is it what we're seeing, the proliferation of the stolen bases? What are some important things you got to have to make a run to the state championship?
Yeah, well, it's what we saw last year with Grayson. How did they do it? It was with their defense. All the teams that coached against them, because no one expected Grayson to be able to make that run to the finals. They said it was the best defensive team they played. Anytime they thought they would have a base hit or be able to stretch a play, Grayson was just so quick, so polished. They didn't let anything come easy. So I think just having a team that's locked in defensively, that's going to stop the bleeding. That's going to give your pitcher confidence. And when you make good plays defensively, usually you come into the batter's box and make things happen.
There you have it, obviously. And then last question, obviously, before we wrap up this segment, Craig, just your thoughts on Lounge. You talked about a little bit earlier. I know this year, probably not the record that everybody would want to see when you see them. Obviously, I think they have 9 losses so far, but do you think they can make a run back to the state championship?
Yeah, and it was a very important game for them against Valdosta. Valdosta's not going to make the playoffs, but they're just trying to spoil Lowndes' season. Obviously, the big rivalry. It was a 4-3 win. That is a little too close for comfort in that opening game, but they found a way to win. That's what's important. So this final week and a half for them. They've traveled around. They had that tough 3-game losing stretch to Florida teams, but they've been in the playoffs before. They're going to get that home field. They have to feel good about that playing at home.
There you have it. Well, guys, we're going to conclude, obviously, our baseball segment for today's show. Hope you guys enjoyed us breaking down 6A and what can potentially happen. Coming up after the break, we'll have Max Waborski join us and talk about the latest articles he's working on, including Stephen Cannon's commitment from Benedictine. All right, welcome back to Georgia High School Sports Daily. Our final segment of the show with Max Waborski. Obviously, Max's coverage here in the state of Georgia. Had a great story on Score TL that he's working on. Stephen Cannon officially committed to Texas Tech, a great get for their program. What's just your reaction to him going to Texas Tech all the way out west?
I'm glad he found his home, and I think it's a great place for him as well. He had a number of offers from places like Georgia Tech, places like Virginia, Central Michigan, Charlotte as well. A list of like 25 offers, but I think it's a great home for him as well.
No, 100% agree. We talked about this obviously yesterday, Craig. Just you know the Benedictine program really good. Just what's your thoughts on him? Just kind of making his own niche, making his own name in another school.
Yeah, Benedictine, it's unprecedented. So this is a school that only has 400 students, all boys, military academy. That's a different level of preparation just for handling the day-to-day, being at a school where there's such a standard of how they operate each given day. To be a quarterback for that team, I mean, that leadership is pretty incredible. What you have to do just to live up to that standard at Benedictine, I think that's just a kind of an X factor that you get when you recruit from the cadets.
100%. All right, guys, another story Max is working on Zayden Cook. I know we got a huddle film of him. Obviously, I believe he made an all-classification team too, Craig, if I'm not mistaken, with what he was able to do this past year. but he officially signed with Murray State. Max, what more do you have on that?
Oh, yeah, just another incredible player that from this past year. I mean, he finished with the 6th highest rushing yards in a single season in GHSA history with 2,939 yards. And I believe also, was he our Offensive Player of the Year? I believe he was. Yes.
Yep.
I mean, how could he not be? I mean, after that. But, I mean, he had games this year where he rushed for 200 yards in 10 out of 11 games. He rushed for 300 yards in 3 games, and then even eclipsed the 400-yard mark, rushing for 464 yards and 5 touchdowns against Dade County. So he's a heck of a player. And there's no arguing that.
I mean, yeah, you can see it too on this highlight film. Obviously, there just being able to, break loose, showing his ability out of the backfield, being able to run in between the tackles, and just that next level burst that allows him to run away from defenses.
Yeah.
To me, it's the durability. It's the fact that every team knew the ball was going to him, and he still was able to have success. And then he was that guy every single week was on the make that kid an offer. I mean, everyone in the state was recognizing what he did. Being up there with Herschel Walker in terms of the all-time seasons with what he was able to do. I think he came close to 3,000 yards, which has never happened. His offensive coordinator is now going to be the head coach at Southeast Whitfield this year, but just an incredible season, and I'm just glad he finally got that opportunity. He's too talented, and I just think the durability is impressive. Just the number of carries he made, and you see the speed never slowed down. Really incredible player.
Yeah, he looked like a blur out there, man, running.
Yeah, no, piggybacking off what Craig said, I mean, the durability of him as well. I mean, he has games with 45 carries, 44 carries, over 30 carries, over 20. I mean, he is constantly getting the ball for them, and then he's constantly producing as well.
Yeah, I think that speaks to obviously his weight training, his ability, to apply metrics, keeping your body fresh, obviously recovery. All that matters when you're taking those many carries, to your point, Max. My last question to you on that, just could we potentially see him go to Murray State, have a great career there, and potentially even hit the portal and go to a bigger school? I mean, we've seen it with several backs that have done it. Malachi Hosley's one.
For sure.
He went up, he was at Northside Columbus, went to UPenn, now he's at Georgia Tech. Just what's your thoughts on that as a future for him?
I mean, I think there's no reason why he can't. I mean, in this new age of college football, I feel like guys from smaller schools are always making that jump to big schools, finding their spot and really finding their place inside the offense. But Zayden Cook is a big running back, and he can definitely make some noise at the next level as well.
100%. And then the final story, Max, you was working on Scoretail.com. It came out yesterday. Flag football is getting another division. We talked about it. We had on Elbert County AD yesterday, and they're having a new flag football team. 15 new teams, and now marks a new division. Max, what more do you have on that?
Yeah, so, I mean, we had Dr. Tim Scott on Monday, and he was talking about how he kind of just threw it in there and we didn't even pick it up until a little after. We were like, oh, he did say there was going to be a new division in flag football. So last year in 2024, there was around 260, 270 teams. This year, already for 2025, with the help of the Falcons and the Arthur Blank Foundation, there's over 300. So this sport is constantly growing.
100%. And then, Craig, just, obviously we've seen the new division issue. Just how big do you think that is for the sport itself? And what are some new teams you may see now with it being 5 divisions that could emerge?
Yeah, well, teams have been able to hit the ground running very quickly, so that's a good sign. But it's just pretty incredible when you look at them starting out with 12 teams out of Gwinnett County just a few years ago. I don't think anyone thought it was going to be at 300 this quickly, and not only be at 300, but just to see the excitement around it in this community that's being built with flag football. I think that's what's really special. Coaches sharing film, sharing ideas, going to seminars, trying to really evolve their play calling. I think that's what we're going to start seeing once flag football starts to grow with over 300 teams. We're going to see some very creative play calling, and I think coaching is going to be that next level that takes the sport to new heights.
Yeah, no, and I just think if you haven't seen flag football be played yet in high school sports, definitely get out and go see it. I mean, it is creative. It is nothing like you've seen before. I mean, it's something truly remarkable.
Man, 100% agree. I got to call the games. When we did it for Cornell Dave Hunter Flag Football Classic, it was a lot of fun. Just seeing these girls ball out. I mean, we've seen my Angel Ross getting the NIL deal. She's a flag football player as well. So I just think it's going to continue to increase. And the cool part, I think you guys are going to see in the next few years. I know NIL is hard. And I know it's only a certain percentage in Georgia that are getting these deals. But think about college basketball over the last few and how the girls are getting the NIL deals, the Angel Reeses, the Kaylin Clarks, the Haley Van Lists. I think you're going to see the same thing emerge in flag football. You're going to see more girls, just emerging and being able to get these big time brand deals, sponsorships, and be able to just really market off the NIL, their name, image, and likeness.
Yeah, and how cool would it be if one of those girls is someone that starts year one this upcoming season with one of these many new programs?
Exactly. It'd be a super cool story to follow and watch. But that's going to conclude us for today's show, guys. We appreciate you, as always, for tuning in. If you like that segment, and we did a segment 2 and 3, let us know down in the comments. Tweet at us at scoreatl.com. We'll have another great show. Tomorrow, we will have on head coach for Roswell, Brian Michalak. I believe he's coming into studio, so tune in for that tomorrow and much more. Hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you soon.
Hey, is the power off on this?
I don't know. Just take it off. Safety violation, unsafe work conditions.
In the construction trades unions, safety is our highest priority, and we train you to recognize and speak out on unsafe working conditions so that everyone arrives and goes home safely. Learn about careers in construction at georgiaconstructioncareers.com.
Beginning the morning you opened your eyes, we spent every waking moment preparing you for the day you'd leave our nest. Whether it's driving to practice or helping with homework, it's all prepared you for, what am I going to be when I grow up? Will you be ready?
After much thought, I made my decision to take my talents to the IBEW Local 613.
The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers is not simply a job, it's a career. Visit IBEW613.org to begin a new future today.
We celebrate the athletes, the buzzer beaters, the record breakers, the wins. Now, it's time to celebrate the people behind it all. The advice givers, the community shapers, the game changers, the life changers. It's time to celebrate our coaches. Join all of us at BSN Sports and show your coach some love by sharing their story with #ThankYouCoach.
Are you interested in becoming a deputy or a jailer? The Gwinnett County Sheriff's Office is hiring and looking for individuals passionate about protecting and serving their community. If you are 18 years or older, join our team by visiting gogcso.com for more information. Gwinnett County, together we can make a difference.